What's up, Fit Pros? Welcome to the DTF podcast, Down to Fitness, where we turn personal trainers into fitness professionals. I'm Dayton McPherson. He's Kyle Radune. What's up, Kyle? Welcome to episode 3, where we will be talking about characteristics of a good personal trainer. So you just got hired at Anytime Globo World and Fitness. Now, what do you have to do in order to get those clients? Congratulations on getting that cert, getting that new job. So let's take it from here, see what you need to do in order to get some of those new clients. What's going on, brother? Good to see you again.
Hey, how are we doing today, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Living the dream. It's been a whole week and I still have 90-degree weather. And is it still cold in Connecticut?
Yeah, it is. Thanks, buddy.
People can get bored of that because I pretty much say that to you every time I see you for the next 6 months. But no, in all seriousness, I am actually really interested to know you've got a new studio kind of in a rebuild right now, a build out. What's going on with that?
So let me take you back like 2 years during COVID to let everybody kind of know what's going on. So in 2020 in December, the larger box facility that I was in with Health Tracks, we actually closed that facility. It was about 30,000 square feet. We had swimming pools, basketball courts, group exercise, open gym concept. It was huge. We had lots of members. We were going to close, unfortunately. Pandemic was really hard for us. So what we decided to do as a personal training team was we were going to open a personal training studio. So we took many of our existing clients, probably like 40 or 50, brought them to a smaller facility that was just geared towards personal training. We have about 85 members right now that do one-on-one personal training, and we are expanding that space in the next couple of weeks. So we actually were able to rent the space next door to us, busted down some of the walls and everything, expanding over. So we're creating an open gym area for just regular membership for people to come into. Equipment's getting delivered on Monday, which is awesome. So that's going to be starting really soon. I've never managed in a membership gym before, so this is going to be really interesting. I've got fitness on lock, so I definitely need help from some of my mentors and some of the people in my company to really make sure that we are also getting a large membership base, helping more people. My coaches are super excited about it. So we're going from about 3,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet in the next couple of days. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be definitely feel uncomfortable with, but just throw yourself to the fire, just like kind of we're going to talk about today. I'm doing something new, never done it before, but as always, you just keep grinding through and you figure it out, man. So I'm excited. Thank you for asking. I can't, man, check it out. We can get a good workout in.
Hell yeah. Well, don't forget, just like in all things, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So your business is no different than our clients and things like that, right?
Absolutely. So, I'm doing stuff that I don't feel comfortable with. Just like when you've got clients in the gym, you got to do the same thing with them. They might not feel comfortable, but that's why you're there, to help them out. Absolutely. So let's talk about helping out people and some of the things that we're going to do with, being a coach and the right kind of skills to have and characteristics of a good PT. I'll let you go ahead and get started. You'll definitely notice from this episode that Kyle and I are very different in the way that we interact with our coaches and also our clients. So Kyle, why don't you go ahead and get us started? That you yourself have done for characteristics, but also characteristics that you like to see in other coaches.
Absolutely. Well, thanks there, Dayton. So there is one characteristic that Dayton and I both agree is the end all be all characteristic, and I'm not going to name drop it yet. I'm going to let Dayton have that one. So a couple things that I'm looking for, especially if you sit down in front of me and I'm hiring you. We talked a little bit about experience and education before, but as a hiring manager, I'm actually more interested in your personality than I am those other two topics, your education and experience, because I can teach you what I need you to know. I can teach you what being a good trainer, what all those things need to happen. You know what I can't teach people? I can't teach personality. I can't teach you to be more empathetic. I can't teach you to be a harder worker or be an extrovert and talk to people. And I can't teach that. So guess what? I want to see you have it. So a couple of those things, especially the communication factor. I think you have to be a good communicator. You have to be able to listen. Dayton and I commonly say the phrase 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? We were born with 2
Yeah.
ears. We got 1 mouth. You should be listening twice as much as you talk, which is weird for us on this podcast because I feel like I'm not allowed to shut up. So
we're just talking the whole time. Yeah. And we love that. So that's all right.
I would say of all the things on this list, that's the one I have the hardest time with is you want to lose a client really quick. Don't let them talk.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, there have been plenty of sessions, actually, Kyle. I was talking about this with somebody the other day where, like, I don't think I said more than 10 words in the entire training session, and they just wouldn't stop talking, which is fine. I mean, they led the conversation, and before I could get anything in, they were like on to the next topic. And yeah, we still get our workout in, we still got our exercise in, but honestly, like, just listening to people and that they're heard and you understand them is really important. And so that 2 ears, 1 mouth is really, really good. And if we go off of like the speak less type of topic, like I'm always thinking about keeping things simple. All right. So yes, we're all masters in our craft. We could go through exercise movements talking about joints and this happens because of this, like X, Y, and Z. I will be the first person to tell you that your clients don't give a damn unless they are like a super advanced athlete, like explaining things to individuals. Well, so if someone's like, oh, I feel this when I do this, I will just say, well, that's because of this. I don't go through like the whole entire movement scheme of your body and, oh, it's this muscle and your cost styles and all that stuff. Just make it super simple. All right. Oh, you're feeling that because you're rotating your body. That muscle helps you rotate. Cool. I do have some people, though, that really want to know. And if they want to, I will explain it to them. And I will ask them at the end, do you have any questions? Big thing that you don't want to is, do you understand or do you get it? We'll say yes, no matter what you just said. So I ask people, do you have any questions, comments, and concerns? Because they're much more likely to ask you something else. It already implies that they understand. So questions, comments, concerns. All right. And yeah, you're going to have those people that really want to know information. And then you're going to have people that just don't care. And that's okay too. They're just there for a workout. And that's all right. So I'm going to really simple unless somebody asks.
Totally. So you said something that was really important there. And I know we're talking about characteristics, and communication is definitely going to be one of those. So, not using the overly intense terminology and the anatomy terms, like you don't need any of that stuff. I commonly hear people go wrong with that, inundate their clients with kind of trainer talk, and they don't want to hear it. So I think the other thing too there is, I'm sorry, the communication. I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to pass it back to you there.
That's all right. If I can kind of pick up where maybe you were kind of going with that, is you've been a big proponent in the saying of no one cares how much you know if they can't understand you.
No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So for me, it's more of it's building this relationship and personality of I like you, and now I am willing to listen to you. If you have ever met someone for the first time and you don't know anything about them, you don't know where they come from, you don't know their background, and they start barking things at you, do you be like, oh, totally, I'm in? Or are you just like, who the hell are you? Right?
Yeah.
But then your best friend comes up to you and says the exact same thing, and you go, oh, totally, that's a great idea. I'm going to go try that. Okay. Yeah. This is pretty much how it works in fitness all the time. As trainers, I get, you get a consult, someone sits in front of you, and I want to tell them, all right, you need to do this because of this, and this is going to do that, and I'm going to help you here. But if you just inundate them with all this stuff, they just kind of go, and they don't know, deer in headlights type stuff, right? So
yeah, they freeze.
Exactly. Yeah. So getting them to build this relationship, getting to trust you, getting to like you. And honestly, the way we build relationships, and I make this comparison in sales, just like dating. If you went out to a date and you sat across the table from someone and you never let the other person speak and you talk the whole time, are you going to get a second date?
Yeah.
And
most likely no.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
basically the point I'm trying to make there is make this person kind of fall in love with you, become best friends.
Yep.
You refer to it as wanting to grab a beer with them. Like that's probably my
Yeah.
favorite thing is if you want to grab a beer with me, then you probably want to work out with me and you'll probably do as I ask and you'll probably see the results.
Yeah. Everybody always talks about building relationships and trust and rapport. Like you wouldn't go grab a drink or a beer with anybody unless you didn't have those things already. So I always look to build that relationship before I show people like how smart I am or how much I know. Like I've said this before on a previous episode that people know way more than me when it comes to fitness. My education level with fitness is relatively small. That's okay because I can out care you. And I think that's really important is my clients know that I give a damn. Certain things that I always look for with people is, number one, be communicative with your clients. If they text you, like try to text them back within like an hour about rescheduling or, hey, I was thinking about doing this. What do you think about that? Rescheduling your clients is also really important too. So like if you've got something that comes up, like doctor's appointment, you got to do this, you got to do that, like let them know far in advance. I think that that's really awesome. I see that all the time with coaches that they just like cancel day off. Go ahead and do that for a couple weeks. See if that person wants to stay with you after a while. I'm okay if my clients do it on me. That's their right. They pay me. Like I get it. But if I do that to them, they're going to be like, I'm not working with this person anymore. And it's like, I will go above and beyond most people. Will I get you the best exercise regimen? Maybe, maybe not. I was like, I'm pretty good at programming. I'm pretty good with making sure all the exercises we're doing are safe and you'll see results, but I care. And that's why I was able to build my business so quickly. Like I just care. I was willing to take people any day of or time of the week. Like I was in the gym at 5 a.m. I would leave at 8 p.m. for years. I don't have to do that anymore. But in the beginning, that's what you got to do. You got to be available.
100%. So, we talked about communication. Second one I think is also very important here is it goes kind of more into communication again, but that extroverted type personality. Now, this is where Dayton and I are very different. I have no problem going up to somebody in a gym and starting a conversation about their workout plan, their goals, what they're looking for. So kind of having that ability to talk to people and get out of like your own little bubble there and make it uncomfortable for you to talk to people. If you can't approach somebody and start a conversation, there's a good chance that you're not going to really pitch anybody anything. Right. So, where I'm going with this is what I call is being a rock star or running for mayor. Two things that you'll commonly hear me say in the gym all the time. What does running for mayor mean? Well, if you ever seen a politician that wants to be in office, they run around, they're in front of every single person. They're shaking hands, kissing babies.
Yep.
Commonly, hey, Jim, how's the kids? Hey, Susie, I heard you went away last weekend. How was your vacation? Like, if you don't do that with the people in your facility, you will not get known. And therefore, you won't ever have that opportunity to build up the relationship that Dayton's talking about. Because that's where it really all starts. It is hard to sit down in the middle of a consultation and get to know someone and sales pitch them at the same time. So what we're really looking to do is building up this relationship rapport with the members of our facilities through these methods, the running for mayor or being a rock star. I always say you're on stage all the time. So you might think no one's watching and you might get a nasty phone call and you're in the corner smashing stuff or stomping your feet. Like everyone in the gym sees you and knows that. So always know the cameras are on you. Always have a smile, a good attitude. Because those are personality traits that people are looking for in a personal trainer, right?
Yeah, like being that rock star, I think is super important because, like you said, being on stage, being a rock star, like think of your favorite band, like all eyes are on that person all the time. Not even when they're on stage, but paparazzi that are on Instagram, Twitter, you can always see what they're doing. Same thing with us. Like when we're in the facility, people are watching you. Not even if you've ever said 2 words to this person, they watch you. Like they know you as the personal trainer. If you want more eyes on you and you want more people to watch you, Number one, have a good attitude and be friendly. Smile at people, say hello, look them in the eye, get off your damn phone too. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you're talking to people. I think that's really important. And then with being on stage, you have to be in the gym. All right. When you start somewhere, you may not have full-time hours. If you want to be a career trainer, you got to be in the gym more than full-time, even if you aren't getting paid. So if you get 20 hours a week of like fitness service hours, floor time, something like that, you have to make sure that you're in there 40, 50, 60 hours a week, just hanging out, talking to people, live that gym life. I promise that you won't have to do it forever. You really won't. But if you start off like a year, 2, 3 doing that, people are going to notice you to the point where they'll start walking up to you, say, I've watched you before and how you interact with your clients. I want to work with you. And I know that's happened to Kyle before too. It's happened to both of us. Like I have clients because I'm there and they just walk up to me. They're like, I want to work with you without even asking you how much you charge. Like they don't care. They see what you can provide to people.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, I wish I had the study. I know Ursa put this information out a little while ago, but they say the average person shops a personal trainer for 60 to 90 days. So if you're in the gym, that means that this person has been sitting in the corner, walking on the treadmill, watching you for months with how you interact with the other people, how you interact with your clients. You may think you put your client on the floor in a plank so that you can send a text message to that other client or, your best friend. But guess what? Like your client doesn't none the wiser, but there's the whole gym full of people just watched you go behind your client's back and send a text message. So now everyone in that gym thinks that you don't care about your client. And now you'll never get another one. The other big one I wanted to touch on, you mentioned like when you're in the club and all that, it starts when you get in your car and leave your house. Because one thing that I had and this happened one time, so it's not like it happens all the time, but a little situation of road rage on the highway. And then they both got off the same exit. And then they both came to the same gym. So guess what? You were just screaming at each other, trying to run each other off the road, cursing and hanging out the window, giving someone the finger. And then 3 miles later, after you get off the exit, you both pulled into the parking lot and walked into the gym together. Well, guess what? That member came up to me and goes, did you know your trainer XYZ, and described the whole thing? And like, that's embarrassing. And I didn't have to say anything because as their boss, it's not my job to tell them how they acted on the highway a half an hour before their shift. However, that member just told that story to everyone in the group fitness class that they just walked into. Yeah. Or they sat around the water cooler area and just told them how that jerk of a personal trainer cut you off. So it starts when you leave your house. You have to be on. You are supposed to be a professional. You want to ask for $100 an hour? Be a professional. Yeah. Because professionals don't get 100, unprofessional people don't earn $100 an hour.
No, definitely not.
I mean, that's
no, I agree with you. So before we really started that, I say it to everybody is have confidence in yourself. All right. And I will probably say that like 100 times over the next.
Well, that's the one I was waiting for you to drop.
I know.
I didn't want to take it away from you.
That like, it starts, like Kyle said, when you walk in the gym and having confidence. Like I want everybody to know who I am. Like when I walk in the building, that's Dayton, the personal trainer. He's the general manager. He's this coming to me. I don't want them to go to anybody else. I want to be that confident person that says hello to people, that people can talk to, speak well, educate them, problems. Like that's the confidence that you really need. And I think that confidence starts right when you sit down with somebody in a consultation. All right. So the more confident ability to help this person, much easier. Like we'll do an episode on this and I'm not going to dive into it too much, but nobody ever tells you that you have to sell personal training. Like super important that you understand that, because those books aren't going to say like, oh, here's how to sell personal training. If you just have confidence and you believe that I'm worth $65 an hour, 85, 100, whatever that you, and you think that that's too expensive, like let's say you're working at that big box gym and you think that $95 an hour is too expensive, you're telling me that you don't think that you're worth that. And that is crazy to me. Like, whatever I want. And some people might think that that's outrageous. Like, there are people in this industry that charge $250, $500, $1,000 an hour to train people, and they get it. And they have a huge book of clients, and people are make sure that you have that confidence and you let it come out, because the more confident that you are, those people are going to believe what comes out of your mouth. And I think it's important to also note that the confidence is not cockiness. Like, I'm not cocky just because I walked into the facility. Like, I'm confident because I've been doing this and people want to work with me and I can help people. Like, I'm confident in my ability. I'm confident in how much I charge. I'm confident in helping you lose weight, helping you do this because of all those other things that Kyle and I have been talking about. And, you know, that confidence comes out. Your clients will see it. Your other members of your team will see it, and your members will see it too. Confidence, not cockiness.
Yeah.
Love that one.
I 100%. It's because what happens when, and actually, and you said like that whole idea of you set a price and you're worried that, oh my God, it's too expensive. So a couple things to that is, one is you're not the one buying it. So stop thinking with your wallet.
Your bank account isn't their bank account.
Yeah, no. And the truth is if you're starting or an aspiring personal trainer, your bank account's empty and you are broke. So therefore, it doesn't matter what price you name, it's more than you could afford. The people in front of you have the means to hire you, and now you need to show a value for the cost that you are going to charge them, right? This is a good old value versus cost. And we're going to talk sales stuff in a different episode, but owning what your services are and the price that it is to work with you is kind of a non-negotiable. You believe it. And if you're any good, you'll actually constantly wonder if you charge too little, not too much.
I think that all the time, honestly. Like, and I'm sure you do too. Like my rates, and mind you, I'm not much of personal training anymore, but my rates, I think, are very inexpensive for the service that I provide.
If you're not charging over 100, I'd argue you are.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
In New England?
I do. But still, like, you know, and here's the other thing about that. Like, for those of you that have had a client for a very long time, you're like, well, they've been with me for a long time. They get charged the same amount as a brand new person. Don't sell yourself short. It doesn't matter if they've been loyal to you. Like, everybody pays the same. And we don't give people discounts or rates because, like, they're our friend. They've been with us for 6 years. Well, they've bought in over, you know, $30,000 of personal training in the last 3 years. They get charged because it's your expertise, not because they're your buddy. All right. So yeah, I think that that's really, really important. Like, it's okay to charge people what you think that you're worth. I got another one for you that I think is really important with like characteristics for people. So as managers, Kyle, one of the things that I see that's very interesting is like coaches who, once they build their business to like, they're not full time yet, I think they really get into this way of thinking that I just go in and train my people and then I leave. So they've got like 5 hours of personal training back to back to back. When that last hour is done at like noon or 1, and then they head out. Well, if you want more clients, don't rely on just your gym to do that for you. Even if 100 people are coming in and signing up for memberships every single month, you got to go out and get people. So don't think that your people are not getting put in your schedule. They hired 4 new coaches. Those people are getting more. Like, we'll talk about how to build your business later, but like you gotta like have that fire and passion to go out and get it and not fall victim into, okay, this is just what it is. I just lost 10 clients because, you know, one's injured, one's going away for 3 months. 2 people couldn't afford it anymore. Well, I guess I lost 20 hours of coaching for the next couple of months. No. Same thing that you were doing in the beginning with all those cold calls and emails and being in the gym. Like, don't get complacent when things start going bad or they're not growing as much as you would hope that they would. Like, be hungry. If you do that for a couple of years, you won't have to do that stuff anymore. I promise you. like Kyle and I have been in that same situation where it's just like we started off slow, built up progressively because we did all those right things. By 2 years in, boom, we had more clients than we could put into our schedule.
And that's how we ended up as leaders, because we started selling training for the rest of the clients, right?
Right. Yeah.
The other trainers.
Yeah.
So I think something else that you kind of touched on there too is you talk 20 hours of personal training means 40 plus hours of work a week.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think what you said there is really important, that yes, you have 20 hours of training. So you should be doing 20 hours of homework, programming,
prospecting,
asking
for referrals, like all
going
that
back to the
stuff.
other thing about the texting, like check in, especially now. If you have a 1 time a week client, I schedule a text message like halfway through the week, because the 1 time a weekers are the ones that fall out of that, right? Yeah. So chasing people down, keeping them active and engaged, and it goes back to, again, show them you care. If I check in with you 3 days after our training session to see if you're sore, it's simple enough to send a text message, but it goes so far for that client. It's like, wow, they're involved with me beyond that 1 hour, right?
Yep.
So I think that's really important to note, that as your business goes up, the other hours, the office hours, don't go away, because just like you said, you can have a whole lot of cancellations or injuries, and they all seem to happen at the same time. Usually, 3 weeks before the holidays, or whatever the case may be.
You got to go on vacation. Like they go on vacation. When that stuff happens, like your paychecks go up and down. You got to prep for that stuff. You got to know that's going to happen.
Yep. So preparing for that means you're doing 20 hours more than you need at all times. So if you actually need to be a full-time 40-hour trainer, that's probably 20, 30 hours to maintain that business. So the numbers go up on the working, but the back end work actually goes up with it. When you have 0 clients, you can get away with 10 to 15 hours of generating your business. Now, I would recommend dedicating all 40 hours to it, because then you'd be super successful. But at the end of the day, if you can prospect 15 hours a week, you will do well, because as you get 15 clients, 15 hours, now you're at 30, you can manage it. But when you get to full time, you got to still keep your foot on the gas.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really easy once you get to 40 hours of training clients to just go in, make stuff up off the top of your head for all 40 of those hours, and then just do the same thing the next day. And it's like, I'm a firm believer, and I know that you are too, that the reason that we get paid much more than minimum wage is because a 1 hour training session with a client doesn't equal 1 hour, which you had just pointed out to. It's like, there's so much more that goes into just, okay, here's your warm up. Here's your workout. Here's your cool down. Bye. Like all that stuff that Kyle just mentioned, like it goes into that fee. They're not paying for an hour personal training session. They're paying for an investment in a program, and all that stuff is part of their program. So you just got to realize that you're working a lot, but that's okay, because it's worth it. It's worth it. It definitely is.
And this goes back to our last episode of like how you should know if you want to be a personal trainer, because if you're listening to this and getting excited, then you're in the right area. If you're feeling like this is a little daunting, then it's not for you. It's just not. I don't want to sound bad, but the truth is, I would talk 9 out of 10 people into not becoming a personal trainer, if I'm being honest.
It's tough, man. Like, when I started personal training, Kyle too, wasn't married, didn't have a house, didn't have kids. I still don't have kids, but if I had tried to do what I did back then with all of those things, it would have been 10, 20, 30 times harder. It's tough to get started like that. And I mean, still to this day, I leave the house at 5 a.m., getting back between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. every single day. And, if you have a family, if you've got to be there, if you've got, people around you that you have to care for and do stuff with, and you've got a house to take care of, a full-time position would be really hard. I'm just being honest. And I don't want to talk anybody out of being a coach. It's a great profession to get into. It's just very challenging, and you have to kind of, weigh the pros and cons of it, and then go from there. I would never tell anybody to not try to do it. It's just a lot of work in the beginning. And, that's one of the reasons I think Kyle and I wanted to start this podcast is we as leaders want to be honest with people. No one's telling you like, oh, you can't go do this. It's just tough, man.
Yep.
That's all.
And I think people should prepare when they're taking on a challenge, that they should understand that there are challenges. So I don't want to, if you're passionate and you're willing to put in the work, then it's an incredibly rewarding profession. The only thing I wanted to add to this episode that we kind of skipped over before we start to wrap this up. One of the main things that, and I don't know if you'd consider this a characteristic, but your ability to meet people halfway and kind of seeing where people are at and getting that kind of that idea of what's the best place for them to start and how can we progress them? I think a lot of trainers miss out on some good opportunities early in their career because they don't know how to get started with a new client, or they take them through like an assessment and they kind of say all the wrong things because they turn people away. I told a little bit of a story in that first episode of when I hired a personal trainer and I was overweight and expected me to like jump and roll around on the floor and do all these things and just did not understand it. So that can be more of like an empathy, kind of like understanding where people are coming from and where they are on that given day.
I think that ties into what we talked about earlier with like KISS and explaining things and keeping it simple. When I start with somebody new, it's very simplistic movements. I'm going to teach you how to do like a band TRX row, like a plank. I'm going to teach you how to do a sit to stand, like very simple things. I just want your joints to move, because a lot of the times when you're jumping into Gen Pop, they haven't done any of that stuff. And from a very easy workout, they're going to be very sore the next day. If you just do 3 sets of 10, like nothing super crazy, like I'm trying to just meet you where you are. My goal is not to make you do a half kneeling kettlebell Bosu burpee pull up. Like why? Like they've never even done a TRX row before. And I understand where people come from, that they want to show their expertise. Like you can show your expertise just with helping people. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I found this cool exercise, that's what we're going to do. Like, no, have them just move and they get a little sore. They feel good the next day. Like that's your expertise. That's awesome. Like people come back for that, not because you have the funnest exercises. Like I'll be the first to say this could be a whole episode, Kyle. I hate exercising. It's so hard. Like Kyle loves to exercise. Like I have to push myself through every single workout. Like I get nervous before every work. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, but I know it's good for me. And I like the feeling of doing it afterwards. And having a coach provides you with that feeling of accomplishment and success. And that's why we do what we do. People keep coming back for that. And I think that's the way we'll end this one off.
I think so. So
that's
with that
that's a mic drop.
Yeah, right, Dayton. You want to sign us off, bud?
Of course I will. Hey, thanks everybody. I appreciate you guys checking in with us today for this episode 3, where we went over certain characteristics of how to be a great personal trainer. I am Dayton McPherson. That's Kyle Radune. We'll see you guys next time. Looking forward to episode 4. Have a great week, everybody.
See you guys.